Hello. I'm just watching people pile in right now. Um, I'm talking to you live. This is Dan Victor, and this is Dan Victor Does Daily Thoughts. Yesterday I had off because of the state of the world. No, I actually had some business to take care of, but the state of the world is definitely got into my head. And the more that happens, the more it's very hard to ignore. Not just not just the injustice of police brutality that has been, business as usual, but it's a bit more. Um, so today's daily thoughts are a little bit about that. It's a little bit about the reflection of, you know, my impact as an American, as a white American. Because I think that's not that there needs to be a distinction that I support those who are not white. I think there's a distinction that I support humanity, I support human rights, and we have a right to protest. We have a right to do a lot of things that apparently our president is not allowing us to do, or doesn't think we should do, because his word is law. And I may be getting a little more political than I should, but I think speaking my mind and speaking my truth, and just looking on Facebook this morning, because I get caught up in my own daily life, and I think that's, for me, I needed to be addressing a lot of things. Like in my life personally, I had been dealing with, my mental illness. I've been dealing with coming through through a very, very difficult time for myself. And then, we have the pandemic situation, dealing with money, with working, with rent, with all of the regular struggles of life. But then certain things hit you right in the face, and it's very hard to ignore um, the impact that some of this has, not just on me as a person, but realizing that I'm just one of a greater whole, and that there is power in the people, and the people need to choose. And I think, I think the general consensus is that, we people should be treated well. I think we all want to be treated well, but when we see ourselves as one people, as instead of a division of people, individual pockets of clubs, or you know what I mean. You could make it about race, but you could also make it about cultural background, what country your family's from, what state your family's from, what town you're from, what school you went to, what color hair you have, what there's so many different ways to divide you: tall, short. um, there's things that the government has chosen to focus on that distinguish you from another set of people. So there is the way that we divide ourselves, and then there's the way that our government divides us and chooses to. I believe there is a way that people are put to. There's a way that I'm just still checking. I'm going live here. There is a way that people are encouraged to hate one another. I don't think it's a mistake that, today in this country, it's easier to divide people to make them more manageable than encourage them to get together and speak as one voice. Because when you have people who are intelligent, you have a populace that is effective. I mean, I think the consciousness has risen, but some of the problems have not been resolved. I think this last four or so many years, I think we've been self-indulgent. I think, and I can speak for myself really more, and I think but I've recognized that there has been more focus on self, less on community, less on what, I mean, like, I think about my parents' generation in civil rights movement and people coming together, and then I think about 10 years ago when we had the financial crisis. It was actually more than 10 years ago at this point, maybe about 12 years ago, which I was definitely affected by. And, you know, back then there was less awareness on my part. My awareness has grown, and maybe it's just aging, but I know that there's an importance on just being conscious. I mean, if you can't do anything, I think the obligation for us is to be educated, to be aware, to know the difference between right and wrong. I think we could make it as simple as that. How do you think people should be treated, regardless of who they are? Do you think all people should have not treated poorly or badly, but like I think that people deserve basic human rights, and when those are not given, those basic human rights in America are not given to people, then there's a reason to be outraged. I'm saying that what my I think the focus of what I'm saying is that if you come to an argument and you're saying, look, I refuse to be treated this way, but I'm also not going to instigate the argument, and I am going to come above reproach so that you're not going to find fault with me. Because what are you going to find fault with me for? You're going to pick something that has no relevance to the conversation. Let's look at this in a debate sense, okay? When you cannot find any fault with what I'm doing, when you see that you are ethical, when you see that you're standing to a higher standard of how you treat one another, how you treat people, then when you see that somebody else is being treated improperly and you speak up about it, nobody can say a word. They can they can either ignore it, that's mask of being unable to that mask of saying, well, you did wrong, so now I can say you're wrong, is not an argument. He did this, so she did this, and then the conversation becomes not about what's happening. The conversation becomes distorted, and the true issue here is that people are being murdered. People are being there is a police state that's essentially happening. And I think, there is it's beyond business as usual. It's beyond racism. It's beyond just what has to do with us and how it's impacting our lives. This impacts every human being. We have to be aware that there are certain things that we just cannot bend on, and that is, people should not live in fear, and fear is what people have used to dominate people, the masses. Those in power are fearful that when we come together, we are intelligent, we are capable, we are interested in living together in peace and harmony. But there are people who want to continue to stay in control, and the only way they can stay in control is if they convince you that you need them to keep the peace, or that you need them for some situation. That Trump is just so bad at this job, and he's so transparent, to my mind, more so than any other politician, because he's not a politician. He hasn't been groomed as a politician, so it's a lot easier to see him as a clown. He's a clown. He's at best a misogynist. At worst, Darth Vader. Now, I think that I'm not going to. There are a lot of police that, and again, this is not to defend anyone or one way or the other, but I think to mass everybody as one, to say, let's put it like this. You say all white people are the same. They're not. You say all black people are the same. You say all Asian people. You say all Indian people. You say all Native American people. You say all Brazilian, whatever it is. You're going to say all Jewish people are the same. They only act in the same. People are individuals. People have their own minds. People speak to their own minds. They have their own conscious, and we have our own brains. Okay. So do not lump me in with a group of people and say, that's it. Now I've decided who you are. No. And the same way is the true of police. It is a job, but some people, and this is something that's becoming more clear to me, is that people in this job are having people tell them what to do. And you think about your job, right? You have your manager saying, okay, you got to do this or else. And you say, okay, well, what is this? What is the or else? Or I'll lose my job. So now I have to keep my job. So I have to do, they have something over your head, you know? There is this illusion that you need them to be happy with what you're doing or your performance or else, this fear. And that fear is how people get people to do things instead of encouraging you to be your best self. Instead of encouraging you to grow as an individual, they want to suppress you so that they can keep control. And that is the real key. It's like, but they mask it in all of these other areas. So they give different reasons, but the thing is, the real reason is control, and the real motivation is money and power. Um, so all police are in a job. It's not until you get further up the chain that these people have the responsibility. Now, if you are the police commissioner, everything every officer does is your responsibility, and you should be held responsible. Now, you have some people there's bad people, but I'm saying that there's a system that is encouraged to use police authority to make income. People who are arrested, that generates income. People who have parking tickets, that generates income. For every arrest, that equals dollars. There is a quota. They need to justify the existence, and keeping law and peace is definitely necessary. I don't think every police officer gets in with a mindset that they're there to hurt people. I think the idea of protecting and serving to do some good, to be just the way, an EMT would, just the way, but I can speak from people who I know who are police officers who could not handle the politics. There are politics involved in being a police officer the same way there's politics in being in the military. This is a system, and the system is built to take advantage, so that it's taken advantage, so whoever is in this power position are benefited, and we all see how we can be benefited. And I think the idea is that, yes, we want to benefit ourselves, but our benefit should not be at the cost of somebody else's humanity. Okay. And listen, if somebody's getting arrested, there are ways that people can get arrested, but they do not need to be murdered. There should never be anyone murdered because they're being arrested. I've been arrested. I know people have been arrested, and it does not mean, you know what I mean? There shouldn't, well, beyond the fear, beyond the fact that there's been, to say kindly mistakes, to say harshly murder, and, either is true, but there's an idea that like, look, I am trying to say that there are police that can stand with the protest. I saw a video that was very moving, that there were people who were taking a knee on the other side of the fence. They were taking a knee because they were recognizing that their fellow police officers were wrong. Do you does a police officer want to see how somebody's behaving, and you have to you have to be behind the blue line, or whatever it is? This is the same way that you're saying, okay, you see some injustice going on in the locker room. You're on a football team, and your frat brothers or some shit, like, does some fucked up stuff. Now, are you going to say that you're not going to report them because you need to, that would be ratting somebody out or some bullshit like that? Because, to be honest, it's bullshit. You know what I mean? People are responsible. You do not cover up for other people's mistakes. That is, that is theirs to bear. It is not yours. It is not your responsibility. Okay? You can choose to do whatever it is you do. Everybody has their code, but I'm going to tell you what, helping a police officer cover up a crime that they're committing when they're the ones who are supposed to be above reproach, right? Because how can anybody respect you for what you do if you don't respect other people? You see what I'm saying? There's a hypocrisy here. And that hypocrisy is encouraged by the system that these police officers are a part of. Some people fight it, but then how hard is the pressure on these police officers to behave in a certain way, which they're rewarded for, right? This behavior is rewarded. And it's important, like, maybe I don't know who is hearing this message, and I don't know where it's going out to, but I do think, um, hopefully I'm saying something that's good, or, I mean, the benefit is to really just sort of share that, I'm trying to speak for humanity. I'm trying to speak for what's ethical. I'm trying to speak for what's right, not what I feel. My feelings are towards being, altruistic, towards not seeking to benefit personally, because this isn't about myself, but I am feeling that if you're going to say something and you have to, it's not about choosing a side, but if you were to have to give somebody an answer, what would you say? And I think we can all agree that I want to be treated well. I think other people should be treated how I would like to be treated. And sometimes I think I don't even treat myself as well as I want to treat people that I like. Let's put it that way. Maybe you got to treat people the way, this is Jordan Peterson writes this book, 12 Rules for Life, and it says treat yourself the way you would treat somebody that you're responsible for. So, like, if you have a dog or if you have children, and I know that's maybe not the best, one does not equate to the other, but anybody who you're responsible for, you care what happens to them and how you treat them. We should be treating everyone that way. I mean, obviously, you got to take care of your own, but like what I'm saying is that should not come at the consequence of anybody else. We shouldn't hear any more. We can live in an era of peace. We have it within our grasp. Our consciousness, our connectivity, our intelligence, our awareness, our education has never been better than it is right now. And it's become clearer, easier now more than ever, that you have corporate interest, corporate greed, you have people's greed. People who have a ton of money are interested in keeping it because it's not just about the money, it's about the control, it's about the power they wield, it's about whether they can choose to do it. And it is a drug as much as heroin is a drug. And these people are afraid of losing it, so they'll do anything to keep it, you know? And, I mean, I'm not even talking about conspiracy theories anymore because, like, well, not anymore. Like, I haven't really talked about it, but I'm looking about what's going on and I'm seeing what's going on. I live in New York City. And when there was a curfew last night and I was listening to Anderson Cooper talk, and there hasn't been a curfew in America, in New York City, I should say, since 1943. And what he was saying was that the reason why there was a curfew from rioting was because a police officer had shot a black troop that had come back from war. And, he's saying, listen, as much time has gone by, the problem's still the same. And, it's easy to get caught up in saying it's the same thing. It's this, it's that. But the truth is that if anything is going to change, we have to look at the system in which we support. We are a part of the problem unless we're not supporting change. And I think there is a consciousness that, and even if we don't know enough about it, and I'll be honest, is like, I don't know enough about everything. Okay. I mean, I'm not down on myself or whatever, but I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to be open. I want to hear what people have to say. And the only thing that I know is nobody should be losing their life. Nobody should be taken advantage of. No one should be hurt. We should care about one another and care what happens to one another. And, not at any cost. We shouldn't compromise our morals just because we see other people's morals being compromised, or my morals are being, no, somebody's infringing upon me, so that gives me the right to infringe upon you. No, 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 no. That does not. Two wrongs do not make a right. Okay? The way that we do this is we diffuse the aggression. We are bringing awareness. I believe this. We bring awareness. We diffuse the aggression so that people don't defense up. Because what happens when you argue with somebody? These people argue, you become on the defensive because you're not even thinking about what somebody else says. You just don't want to be hurt or be wrong, and that's a human natural instinct. That's just basic human. So you have two people, and you think forcing the situation is going to fix it, and force never fixes anything except causes problems. And then somebody may come out on top, but you're not fixing a long-term problem, because it's we're trying to elevate ourselves, not just improve how much money we have in the bank. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing to want. I'm just saying that we have to be aware not to hurt anyone else. We have to be aware that we can do no harm, if it's at all in our power, to be able to live by example of a good life. Like, in a good life, I mean, be kind to yourself, be kind to other people, and figure your own shit out. Because the sooner you figure your own shit out, you can truly treat yourself well, and then by that, you can treat other people well. And I don't mean giving yourself material things. I mean giving yourself, health, giving yourself consciousness, giving yourself kindness that you can pass along to others. And then when you have plenty within your well that's overflowing, you can share that with other people, and you can help other people to stand up when they're down in the hole. We can help each other, but it's really something that has to start with ourselves. The kindness has to start from within. That peace, that serenity needs to start from within. Then we can say, hey, look, here, let's grab hands, let's grab hands. And people are. And that's what's amazing right now. You see a lot of people coming together. You see marching, you see protesting, you see people who are saying enough is enough, you know? They're saying enough is enough. And these people are not being violent. These people are speaking. And I'm very proud of the fact that I see these people speaking out, saying it's too much. It's too much. And you know what? It's not going to go on anymore. But we're not going to condemn everyone for what everybody's doing, because we got to get the police on our side too. And I saw some events of that, and I saw some people taking a knee. And I'm going to say, you know what? These people are police officers, but they're people too. And if we can say that, we can encourage them to not be pawns in a system that's interesting and dominating its masses, that is afraid of us, that is afraid of what will happen if they lose control, because they're sitting pretty. And these people with a lot of money are sitting real pretty. These people with a lot of power, they're sitting real pretty. And guess what? That is not okay. Because that is at the cost. Their good life is at the cost of millions. And that's not right. That is why somebody who's tyrannical, that is why somebody who is a dictator is so bad. It's not just about well, it is about how they're being hurt and how oppression works. Because it is a complete disregard for anybody else but themselves. And they're not even seeing it with their own eyes. They're just letting it happen. They're not doing it with their own hands. They're getting somebody else to do their dirty work. And then it's on down the line from one person to the next person. I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to do this. So I think the real institution of change is starting to say, hey, listen, you police on the street, we're not going to like that. You are part of the problem, but let's get you on our side. All right. Let's not make you a part of the problem. And because we end up fighting with them, let's get them on our side. And then we can say, hey, listen, we're going to put pressure on the police within the system and on up the chain. So we're going to start from the bottom on up. And then when they believe that they can actually be people instead of being fearful of what's going to happen to them, you know what I'm saying? It's like when people are forced to take a side, then somebody is going to be wrong. Somebody, you feel like you have to be right. But when you see, it's like, listen, there is no two sides. We're all on the same side. We're all human fucking beings. So I think, forgive the cursing, because I think it's, as this thing goes on, and I don't want to say I'm fearful, because I'm not afraid anymore. I've lived in a lot of fear my whole life. And, not necessarily of like my fear is not stemming just from being killed by a police officer, but my fear stems from fear of myself. And I think that fearful of what's going to happen to me. And I'm not going to live like that anymore. I am concerned about the state of the world. I am concerned about what is happening with the government. I think we all got to wake up and say, okay, well, listen, I got to come out of my Netflix coma, and I got to deal with, at least be aware, like be on the edge of your seat. I'm not saying be ready to move and everything, but like, people want you to be angry. People want you to give them the justification to take control of you. You know what I'm saying? So don't succumb to the weakness of acting out because of your angry, because you're angry, because you know what? That will give them a reason to justify doing this. And if you can prove that these people are instigating violence, they're instigating us to commit violence, to give them the right to bring military in here, because you know what? I'm scared about that. Once the military forces, now we're talking about a serious thing. Now we're talking about our government taking away our rights. This is then we're talking about un-American. It's beyond saying, okay, well, I disagree. I stand with the police. I stand with our government, and say, listen, this is a government gone rampant. This is a government gone wild. You know what I'm saying? Darth Vader, stormtroopers. Look at Star Wars, man. Like, look at what they did. Look at how they took over the Senate. I mean, come on, it's a cautionary tale, but like look at a story and then look at what's happening, because sometimes you can see in a story what you can't see in your own life because you're too close to it. We need to be helping people. We need to be saving lives. We need to I think listen, as a human thing, we need to care about one another, and I think that's what I'm going to stand by. I'm going to say, listen, we need to care about one another. We need to do what's right so that we can get it done. So we can make sure that nobody is being uh, I mean, it's too much. It's too much to even say. But I'm trying to say it with dignity. I'm trying to say it in the best way that I possibly can, because I don't know. I don't know what else I can do. Um, I just know that things can't be done the same way they've been done anymore. We cannot go back. We have to go forward. We have to go forward in the way of positivity, peace, and love. That is what I'm saying. We need to be getting peace, and I don't think we need to get peace at any cost, because the cost is too great. Peace at any cost, civility at any cost is the same thing that any other dictator has done. You look at what Castro did in Cuba. Okay, you had there's a lot of inequality going on in Cuba before Cuba. Then you have Castro come in as the savior of the people, and he became a dictator too. So just a different set of people ended up becoming oppressed. And then everybody became oppressed. But the point is that there isn't, violence is not the answer. Civility is the answer. Unity is the answer. Coming to understand one another better. Not sitting comfortably in your seat, but getting up, sitting on the edge, grabbing somebody's hand, working out of your comfort zone to understand somebody else's situation greater than your own. And you know what? By finding out what somebody has going on and finding out somebody else's situation, you can even understand yourself better. So it is in your best interest to open your mind, to expand your understanding of the world, so that you can benefit yourself. I mean, if at the end of the day, be good to other people, so that you can be good to yourself, and you can sleep at night saying, you know what, I'm grateful. I'm not proud, because pride means that you are responsible for all the good things that happen in your life, and there's too many other factors that go into that. You did not create all of those things. The people that support you, the people that love you, the people that came before you, your ancestors, God. If you don't believe in God, believe in the energy of the universe, or science, or anything else that you might give credit to for you being where you are today. Because it wasn't just you. Gratitude is necessary. You've done what you can, and you've made the decision. You've made the decision. You do hold power. But what I'm saying is that pride is not useful. Gratitude is, because when you can be grateful, you can be free. And freedom, they say freedom isn't free. It really isn't. but it doesn't mean you have to die. It shouldn't mean that you have to die to be free. It shouldn't mean that you have to hurt somebody else or kill somebody else to be free. Let the price of freedom be that we come out of our comfort zone and choose to grow. Let that be the cost of freedom, not lives. We don't need anybody else to die. I don't want our government to crumble. I want us to empower the government to be run the right way with justice for all. Every person. No one is excluded. We are human. We are human beings. So with that, I'm going to conclude. This was an extra long version of Dan Victor Does Daily Thoughts, but I think it was necessary in light of all the things that are happening. And I was hesitant because I didn't know what I had to say about it, but I've obviously said it. Um, I want to share loving thoughts. I want to share some prayers. I want to share some affirmations to the universe. I want to put out a great possible message. I do not want to bully anybody. I do not want to condemn anyone. I want to include everyone. And I want everybody to be part of the cool kids. So be good to yourself, but also be good to someone else. Listen to somebody else that you might not listen to. Hear what they're saying, and you can hear your own voice. And when you can understand that, you can understand there is no us and them. There is only we. Have a good rest of your day. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And let's stand together. Peace and love.